How's it going? Thralls of Metal here again with another album review. By the way, I'm Necrotic Nick.
And I'm Jammin John.
And today we are going to go over Dawn of Demise's newest one, Into the Depths of Veracity, out on Unique Leader Records and just came out today or tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Or, yeah, whatever. Whenever you get this.
Not important.
It's out. They're from Denmark. They're pretty much a straightforward death metal band, very much in the vein of Dying Fetus. So if you like that, it's more modern death metal, I guess. Touches of brutal death metal. This is their 5th album. And they also feature the current drummer of Soilwork, who he just got the job because Dirk's in Megadeth now, and way to go, Dirk.
Right, no shit.
So, let's get into it.
Well, where do we start? Great production on the drums.
Fantastic production on the drums. Sounds real clear and real crisp. Now, outside of that, there are definitely some issues with this. Now, I'm a huge death metal fan. I've been listening to this shit forever.
Too.
And this one just comes across as very mid-range. Just it's all right from the get-go. I wasn't into the opening track. The opening track I thought was very mid-tempo.
Yeah,
it wasn't strong. Like, all right, you want your opening song to just fucking
right. You want
punch you right in the gut.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you want to punch somebody in the balls on your first song, not this.
Yeah.
It sets the pace for the album,
which is problematic in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets very repetitive very soon. Like, I honestly didn't find a standout track until, I believe, the 4th track, which was Permanent Cessation, which I thought was very refreshing.
That's the fifth track. Fifth track.
Okay. So, unfortunately, even longer.
Right.
That was the first one I really got into because it was unlike the other ones, which it seemed very much like they'd stuck to their formula, and they knew what their formula was, and no deterring them.
Right. It had more energy to it.
I thought Collapse was a decent song too. It had a good mid-tempo chug, and there were some riffs actually. The main issue I have with this album is a lot of repeated slam riffs throughout, which I'm not the biggest slam fan, but even then, a lot of repetition.
Yeah, there wasn't anything really that stood out. I think we had 4 songs maybe that stood out, and again, the reasons they stood out still weren't because of an overuse of creativity or I mean, look, a lot of the riffs sounded the same.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs sounded the same. In fact, several times I had to check and make sure that the song actually changed.
Yeah, if I wasn't calling out the songs, I would have been confused. There are good spots in this, but they are very few and far between, and you have to labor your way through listening to a lot of really repetitious stuff. Like, even the pacing of the album gave me issues because one of the songs I liked opened up with a very strong chuggy riff, very reminiscent of The Haunted, which those guys love chug and they fucking love good riffs.
Yep.
Solid. Next song opens pretty much with the same thing. It was like, okay, if you had maybe put this further away from this song before it, it would have stood out a little bit more.
I think if you're going to have that many changes in a song, because they changed, there wasn't anything to really latch onto. Every 15 seconds or so, the riff would change, which normally for like tech death is a really cool thing. But in this, it just changed to the same thing.
I had to check. They have 2 guitarists in the band. It sounded like there was just one that just recorded solos over his rhythm parts.
2 guitarists, 1 riff.
Yeah, that was pretty much the issue too. And like not only the guitars were really thin in the production, I thought, but you didn't have any dynamics here. You didn't like add like another layered melody over top of a main chug. It was just you stuck with the chug, and you labored that point into the ground near the center of the earth.
And the few leads that they were, again, if you're gonna have 2 guitar players and play a lead in a song, maybe put in some harmonies. Maybe again put in some dissonance behind a riff. Make it sound like you have more to work with.
Yeah.
Instead of the same chuggy riff over and over again. Great. I mean, look, if you like chugs, if you like to stomp somebody in the pit, this is a great album for that.
It is.
Many just huge stomp moments, but nothing to really write home about. I mean, there were a couple songs. What is it? The Ravishment of Carrion.
Yeah, Ravishment of Carrion was good. That was a good thrashy barn burner.
Great barn burner. A better songwriting, better structure. When they did make the changes, they were more cohesive.
Yeah. There was a touch of thrash in there too,
Yep.
which really didn't appear on there. It kind of reminded me of like more of the Florida death metal, the Tampa
Yeah.
scene. Like, namely, I thought of Malevolent Creation was one of those right away. They
Yep.
always brought in a nice element of thrash, and the song worked well. And when they were going full speed, they were kicking ass.
Yeah, and that too.
It was good.
If that would have happened more, Sue, if they would have added that as another element into this, and not so much of just like syncopated, stomping riffs, that would have been cool too. There weren't that many elements. Like, there were times, like there were a couple times where it reminded me of like Misery Index almost, but that didn't last long enough for you to really grasp onto. And I think if you're a person that isn't really into death metal all that much, you're not gonna pick up a lot out of this.
Yeah, no. And I'm all for like meat and potatoes bands. Like, I mean, I love Jungle Rot and Dying Fetus, who clearly have to be an influence on this. They're very much a meat and potatoes 3-piece, but they have good song dynamics in there. They throw in some catchy lead parts.
Yep, the back and forth between the vocalists. It's not a one-trick pony as far as it's concerned from the vocal standpoint, or really any of the music they do. They, again, throw in elements like Dawn of Demise, but it's not so overly repetitive that you can't catch on or latch on to anything. You know, when you leave a Dying Fetus show, you're like, man, I just got my ass kicked. That was really cool.
Like, I feel like, I mean, there were parts in this album, I feel like they were going into something good, but they didn't know how to transition, and the emergency break, under glass was a slam riff. And it just got so labored to the point where, like, honestly, the last 2 tracks were just super forgettable, to the point where, like, I mean, I listened to them, I thought they were all right. After following the Exaltation, or no, actually no, Ravishment of Carrion, I didn't really care for Enraged that much, but those...
Well, Enraged had, though, it reminded me a lot of Suffocation. That song reminded me, it had a lot of Suffocation moments in it, which was cool, because I'm a giant Suffocation fan.
But it was missing the heft.
Yeah.
It was really missing the heft. Like, I liked the Exaltation. That one was one that was actually different to me. It had more of an old school death metal feel. Like, definitely reminded me of bands like Broken Hope or Bolt Thrower, Written Obituary.
Yep.
And and there was the element of fun in that kind of slower stomp beat there. That was like, okay, now see, I dig that.
Yep.
But I think with heftier production, namely on the guitars and maybe a little bit of layering, this would have been really good.
And maybe a bass that you could have heard.
Yeah, the bass was pretty much inaudible on
and
this.
we're audiophiles. We would listen to it on fairly good speakers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I hate really to
I don't,
beat on an album like because I like Dawn of Demise.
I did like Dawn of Demise.
I was really looking forward to this release because the release before it was
I
really
thought it was
good.
pretty good. I really liked the release before that one, Rejoice in Vengeance.
Yep.
I thought that was a really strong album. This one, maybe it just feels watered down.
It feels like, in my opinion, it feels like they might have been rushed to put out this album, even though it's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a while. I want to say 3 years. I don't know.
So I don't know what happened. Overall, I have to be honest, I've been pretty good about rating albums decently. The last, I think, few album ratings I've done have been pretty high up there. I've got to give this 2.5 stars.
I concur. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. The standouts on here are good, but the overall album, like if you took all 4 or 5 songs that I liked and put them on an EP, it would have been a strong EP. It would have been a really good EP.
Or really, if you took those 4, because the songs were 2 and 3 minutes apiece. They weren't that long. Really,
most of them clock around 3 minutes.
If you took all 3 or 4 of those songs and made a 10-minute, 12-minute song, that would have been cool too.
Yeah.
But
all in all, there's a lot of filler, tons of repetition. I still wouldn't mind checking these guys out live, mostly to hear older material.
Right.
But this one just did not hit the mark for me. It really didn't.
Me either.
But this is just our opinion.
Right.
What the fuck do we know?
Yeah, right.
I urge you to listen to it anyway. Forge your own opinions.
Please.
But this is ours. And it's not great.
It's not good. Sorry, guys. But
But
anyway,
if you like the video, give it a thumbs up or subscribe or do both. You can do both.
you can even write fun things, fun comments on there. We'll even reply to them.
Yep.
Which is neat. So.
All right, guys. Catch you guys later.
Cheers.